Welcome to Peer2Peer, the podcast, brought to you by Rayner. Today we are interrupting your regular podcast programming to bring you a special episode. In this episode, Rayner's Vice President of Marketing, Chris Willis, is joined by Marketing Director for the Americas, Sam Van Roon, and Senior Director and OMIDRIA Brand Lead, Nicolee Schulze, to discuss what listeners can expect from Rayner at ASCRS this year, including the US launch of HASA OPTIX and RayPRO Plus, and new outcome data on Rayner products that will be presented on the podium. Let's dive in.
Welcome to a slightly different edition of Peer2Peer, the podcast. I'm Chris Willis, your host for today, and I'm joined by Sam Van Roon and Nicolee Schulze from Rayner's US marketing team to hear all about their plans for the upcoming ASCRS meeting in San Diego. Starting with you, Sam, what can our listeners expect from Rayner at this year's ASCRS?
Hey, Chris. Thanks so much for having us on the podcast. I'm pleased to be joining a very strong cohort of other guests on the podcast, so great to be here. I'm really looking forward to ASCRS coming up. I think it's going to be a really strong showing for Rayner. We have a much larger and bigger presence every year, and this is certainly no exception. I'm really excited to finally be launching HASA OPTIX in the United States. We also have some great data that's going to be presented on both EMV and OMIDRIA, and we'll be debuting some new RayPRO functionality as well.
Sounds like a busy meeting, Sam. Can you tell us a little bit more about the HASA product launch?
Yeah, absolutely. The launch has gone really well in Europe. I think the US market tends to be a little bit delayed behind Europe, but the benefit to that is that we get to take everything that those European surgeons have learned and apply it to expedite the launch in the US. So that's no difference here, is that what we found in Europe is that these instruments are a really straight and sustainable way to increase operating room efficiencies, to save money, to save time, better inventory management. We know that's going really well in Europe, and finally we get to offer that in the US. So I think it's a great opportunity for surgeons to learn about that at this meeting. Eric Scharner, the CEO, is going to be there as well. I know he was on a previous podcast for anybody that wants to join more. But even better, you can swing by and speak to him in person. I'll be there as well. And you can get your hands on the instruments as well. That's definitely the best way to check them out for yourself, get acquainted with it, test the quality, which we're very confident in, and get your questions answered. So we're really excited that people will be able to swing by and learn more.
Ideal to launch such a product when we have everyone together in one place. I was, as you were, at the ASCRS in Milan for Rayner's European launch of these instruments, and the feedback since that meeting has been fantastic. So I'm excited that we get to start this journey together in San Diego. Nicolee, over to you. Sam mentioned RayPRO and some developments being launched at the meeting. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Sure. Thanks, Chris, and thanks for the opportunity to be part of the podcast today. So RayPRO is really unique in that it's the only technology available to surgeons, which that allows them to collect and compare patient-reported outcomes from IOLs across any manufacturer. So it really is brand agnostic. When RayPRO first launched, it was initially only available for our own Rayner lenses, but we're super excited now that we can allow surgeons to benefit from the technology from whichever IOL they're using alongside their Rayner lenses through a new enhanced profile called RayPRO Plus. And what RayPRO Plus does is it offers insights into patient satisfaction, dystopsia rates, target refraction, just to name a few things. And all the feedback that we've gotten so far from our current users has been super positive. So in addition with this new enhancement, we've made it even easier to use RayPRO Plus because surgeons can register patients through a new CSV file technology. And what that does is it allows them to upload as many as 200 patients in just seconds, but yet they can collect long-term feedback over the course of 3 years. In addition, we have Roger Zaldivar that's going to be presenting some exciting new data on Friday with the Digital Ophthalmic Society Digital Day. And he's going to be speaking about how RayPRO Plus delivers really robust clinical data sets and insights, but without putting the additional workload on your staff. He's also going to be speaking about how RayPRO Plus can progress effective data sharing across different platforms, such as connecting with EHRs.
These really are some big steps forward. Thank you, Nicolee. I'm excited to see the community engage with this platform at this meeting. On the topic of data, Sam, you mentioned that there are several podium presentations where KOLs will present outcomes on Rayner products. Could you share some insights into what we can learn while in San Diego?
Yeah, absolutely. The data just seems to be getting stronger and stronger. We're really pleased that Michael Endel, who's implanted a lot of EMV by now, will be kicking off the meeting with a really strong presentation on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. In his study, he had compared bilateral emetropic outcomes with EMV to a standard monofocal. And he found that 94% of patients in the EMV cohort achieved J2 or better uncorrected near visual acuity, which is outstanding, right? That's compared to 65% in the monofocal cohort. But really importantly is that he also found there was no difference between EMV and the monofocal in terms of distance vision satisfaction or complaints of dysphotopsia. I think that's something that makes EMV really unique, and it's great to have that data which demonstrates it. So as you can imagine, that correlated to a much higher patient satisfaction rate with EMV relative to the monofocal. Another one I wanted to highlight, especially now that IOL formulas are very much in debate in the conversation. Michael Alterman, one of our other great KOLs, has a really strong abstract on EMV outcomes using different formulas. So I won't spoil that. You'll definitely have to go check it out for yourself. But he's going to be presenting on Saturday, just an hour later at 11 a.m. in the same room. And then the last one I'll mention is from Nicolee Schulze and some of her research associates, Drs. Arthur and Roberta Vandenberg. They performed a wavefront analysis on EMV and found an uncorrected distance visual acuity of 0.06 logmar. So definitely equivalent to a monofocal in that sense, but where it really outperforms monofocal was with the distance corrected intermediate VA of 0.17 and distance corrected near VA of 0.23, which is really strong. And what I'm really pleased that comes across in this abstract, which is what we've known anecdotally for a long time, is that surgeons can see a myopic shift with EMV relative to a standard monofocal. They test through the autorefractor and sometimes see that maybe they didn't hit their refractive target exactly as they thought they would. But due to the positive stroke collaboration, that's actually the lens operating as it should. And so that shouldn't be corrected. They definitely shouldn't worry about that. What you see in these cases and what the data supports is that these patients still have really great distance visual acuity. That's just the positive SA and the autorefractor misreading some of that a little bit. So they should expect to see that, still expect to have really great, strong distance visual acuity. And that's what we're highlighting here in this study from Nicolee Schulze and her associates.
Sam, it's great to hear we have so much data being presented on the podium at this meeting. Thanks for the update. I hope to see all of these presentations live. Looking forward to that. Nicolee is the global brand lead for OMIDRIA. Could you talk to some of the highlights being shared on the podium at this meeting?
Sure, yes, thanks, Chris. So we're going to have Bruce Ball, who's going to be presenting a paper abstract that was authored by Craig Cha, and that's going to be presented Sunday at 3:50. And the topic's going to be around the utility of OMIDRIA used during cataract surgery. And some of the data he's going to highlight includes an over 83% reduction in pupil expansion device used. So make sure you stop by the Rayner booth. That's 2137 to hear more about that paper as well as OMIDRIA's real-world data. And while you're in the booth, make sure you check out our interactive touchscreen where you can view and engage around OMIDRIA's clinical story. I'd be happy to walk you through it. We'll have other representatives in the booth too that would love to speak with you. In addition, we'll also have a lot of videos that are going to be showcasing a lot of your peers and national thought leaders speaking about their clinical experiences with OMIDRIA. And that'll also include what advice they would give to a surgeon who's maybe thinking about integrating OMIDRIA into their practice. So we'd love to see you at the Rayner booth in San Diego.
Thanks, Nicolee. This has been super informative. Thank you both for the updates. I hope to see many of our podcast listeners at this meeting and honestly can't wait to board that plane at Heathrow and head west. See you all soon, and thanks again, Sam and Nicolee.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
With the next episode, we'll return to our regular programming with Dr. Ben LaHood from Australia and guest speaker Mr. Alastair Stewart from the UK as they discuss true blended vision and how to do it right. For more information about this episode's topic and to read the show notes, visit the Peer2Peer Hub at rayner.com/peer-to-peer. If you enjoyed listening to this conversation, please subscribe to our channel to be notified of new episodes. This podcast is provided for general information purposes only. The presenters' views are their own. Rayner does not endorse off-label use. Users must refer to the product labelling and instructions for use for Rayner products in all cases. Not all Rayner products are available in all countries. The full disclaimer can be found in the show notes.